A question that I would ask you then is what is your dating life?
I don't have a dating life.
So you don't date.
No.
So you have a perspective about who you want to marry.
Mhm.
Do you intend to get married?
I do. I do intend to get married and have kids.
So where are you at on that?
I'm trying to get prepared for that mentally.
What does that mean? You're 26 years old.
I like my life. I like being single. I like being a guy. I like what I like. I like reading books. I like doing my show. I'm a pretty antisocial person. And it's a big adjustment for a man to go from having a life where you can do whatever you want, go wherever you want, unaccountable, everything like that, to then you have to be roommates with women and children. It's a totally different lifestyle. And for someone like myself, I'm a pretty eccentric and, kind of out there person. I don't have a regular sleep schedule. I'm awake all night. I'm asleep all day. And my sleep schedule's moving around all the time. I like to go out on drives all the time. The idea of my wife sending me out the door, okay, be home by 10, call me and tell me where you're going. Or, I go on a trip. I got to get the car seats and buy all the plane tickets and stuff like that. It's kind of cramping my style. So I'm trying to get over that, I guess. But that's maturing.
Yeah, I think you should probably mature on that point. I mean, what?
Yeah, I know. You don't got to tell me. I know.
I want to go for drives. That would be something. I mean, if you are, do you attend the mass?
I do.
Do you go every Sunday?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so you're like a committed Catholic. Then obviously, the perspectives on family. I mean, I personally, and this would be me lecturing, but I just feel like you really have no idea who you are until you start a family. And whether that means just marriage, some people who are struggling to have children, okay, fine. But there's such a growth that happens because of that I think it informs your beliefs in so many ways. And I think that was a huge turning point for me. Like, I wonder if I had been pressed with everything that happened last year, if I didn't have like the unshaken faith in my family, what would I have done? And sometimes when I see the things that you say, I do think, okay, he doesn't take into account family. Like, it's just Nick. Nick is in his own world, which can be, I think, a quite selfish perspective, which is fine. That's what you're saying. You like being selfish is another way to say what you just said. I like being selfish and I don't want to give of myself to somebody else. But
I also think there's something selfless involved, which is to say, I could go and start a family and drag them into a world of mine, which is pretty chaotic. I mean, is this really the kind of a lifestyle? If I'm banned on everything and I can't make a living, I'm banned from banking, I'm banned from credit card processing, I'm getting doxxed, people are showing up to my house trying to kill me, things like that. And what's more, I mean, let's also get, I also don't appreciate the lecture. You don't know me, so I know you're married. I know you're older than me, but you don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't know my situation. I don't think you're in a position to give me advice, especially as a woman, honestly. I don't think women, this is something in the right wing. We say we're anti-feminist, and then women go around telling men what to do who are not their husbands. And, I don't really buy into that ideologically, but that's besides the point. My life has been tumultuous from the very beginning. From the time I turned 18, people were coming for my neck and trying to get me, and I was kicked out of college. And then, once you're branded as an anti-Semite, before it became cool or popular, can't get a job, can't make a living, get banned from PayPal, all this kind of stuff. That's a very difficult environment to try to have a dating life. What do? I go out on Tinder, I go to a bar, and I say, hey, I'm a neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes that the ADL is writing articles about every day. I'm going to start a dating profile on Tinder. People are going to screenshot that, mess with me in all kinds of ways. It's a very difficult predicament, actually, for me, because I took on basically a huge sacrifice at the beginning. And I don't know that you really appreciate that enough. I think that you're somebody who, you had a career in politics for as long as I was fighting a battle. You were at Daily Wire with a contract. You're at Turning Point. You're making good money. You're doing book deals. You're part of this thing that I'm criticizing and paying a very heavy price for at a time when no one's saying those things, when it's very unpopular. And it's not to say that I'm a victim, because I did it willingly and I love it and I would do it again. But it is to say that, you and I have lived very different lives. And, it's easy, I think, for you to say you had your husband, have your kids, you got your ducks in a row, made quite a bit of money. Then you discovered the truth, and then you went out on a limb. And it's not to say you didn't make sacrifices and it wasn't a risk, and it paid off. You're doing great now, and I congratulate you. But with me, there was no calculation. I mean, I almost want to say I was 17. What's your excuse? I was 17 and I woke up and I went balls to the wall, bucket of ice cold water, as you say. I made a lot of enemies, and maybe that wasn't wise. But I told the truth and I took on extremely heavy cost for my personal life. It basically has made it so that I can't have a personal life. I don't even have many friends. Forget about, dating women. I can't even really have a lot of male friends because there's such an incentive to betray me, to turn your back on me, because there are people that are being paid to attack me all the time on Twitter or for information about me, things like that. So, it's something like everything else that I'm figuring out one step at a time, just like my show. And, when I get banned from something, whether or not I'll be able to have a family and kids and what that'll look like. But I mean, it's a little more complicated, I think, than maybe you understand.
I feel like you just got super triggered by me just saying something so casual. What was that about?
See, I don't appreciate
you're a woman.
that.
You're like, you're a woman. I mean, I was just having a conversation with you, just being like, hey, like there's a lot of growth that comes from when you start a family. Like it's a pretty cool thing to do. And I feel like you got pretty triggered there and got like a little upset. I don't know what I did there.
I don't like that you say triggered.
Well, you were a little bit triggered.
I'm being candid. I'm being candid with you. And,
but saying, a woman does shit, it's like, okay.
You're talking about my personal life. You're talking about my personal life.
Yeah, we're having a conversation. I talk to tons of people about their personal lives. Like, why do you feel like that wasn't a line of attack, Nick?
I know it wasn't a line of attack.
So why you kind of responded like you were just attacked?
Because you're giving me this lecture, giving me this advice about things and telling me, you don't know who you are and all this kind of stuff.
I said that when people start families, it does commute your perspectives a lot. And sometimes when I see these clips of you floating around or certain things that you do or say,
you said I'm selfish.
It does. Yeah, but you admitted you were selfish.
And I just don't really.
You said I don't want to. What are you talking about? You just said that the reason that you didn't want to have a family, when I asked the question or didn't start a family, you said was because I like to drive alone in my car. I don't really want to have to come home and have to deal with roommates, as you referred to, children and a wife. You want to stay selfish. You want to, you want to be in your own world. That's a fair assessment. I
said that in terms of my development, I'm trying to get over some of those aspects.
But that is selfish, right? I mean, is that fair assessment?
I think that's judgmental. I think that's a judgmental
selfish.
Way to look
you
at
want to spend time with yourself. You don't want to invite people into your space. I think I used that word exactly as it should be used.
Well, and I'm explaining why there's multiple aspects to it too. It's not just as simple as that.
That's fine, but acting like I tried to offend you when I just
I'm not saying you tried to
use. I definitely did not try to offend you when I was asking you about family. You ask people about themselves.
Okay.
That's for the same reason that I asked you about what you were up to in high school and what your priorities were, what you were doing in college. It's because it's a natural point. You're 26 years old. People are going to ask you, okay, you have all these perspectives. You're saying people, a very natural transition. You're talking about the fact that you don't believe people should interracially marry, correct?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fair to then move on to the discussion and ask you about marriage. There wasn't some like trap there.
Yeah, no, and I don't think that's my issue with it. But I don't think I got triggered. I think I gave you a real response. So
you were like, listen, woman, don't ask me what I'm doing.
I didn't say listen. Look, I happen to believe that I don't like women telling me what to do in general.
I didn't tell you what to do. I said that when you get married, you said you wanted to get married.
You said you're giving me a lecture. You said
I said, well, this may sound like a lecture because I'm sounding like an old timer here, but I didn't tell you what to do.
Okay.
Like if you're giving a lecture on any topic, hey, this is what's great about marriage. I didn't say, Nick, you need to get married right now.
I just feel like it's pointed. I feel like a lot of these questions are pointed, but maybe that's just me and I'm imagining
genuinely, you're imagining it.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody watching that is going to be like, that was a setup